Hello, this is Greg Ellis from Green Greg's coming to you on the 22nd day of March 2021. And I have two very special guests today. I have, as you have known and seen a few times on this channel, Gail Angeles at Rainbow Food Rocks, and she rocks, and her Rainbow Food Concepts rock, as she has written this wonderful book, also titled Rainbow Food Rocks, all kind of recipes. Her specialty, as many of you know, is that she believes in healing people through the food that you eat. And she has had amazing results with her own children. And she talks about that in quite a bit of detail. So I'm impressed with her. But we have another special guest with us today, Dakota. Dakota she's the last in a long line of the Choctaw Granny Women, i.e. she is a master, beyond master herbalist. And herbs are very powerful. If you don't know this, herbs are like super concentrated in their power compared, like food heals, herbs do too, but they're very, very potent. And having people with expertise in that is crucial, I believe, in having a balanced ecological health system, which I think we need in this world to keep from polluting our environment. Oh yeah, for those that want to go to space, do you really want all those medicines in your recycled system and everybody having to deal with it? No, herbs will be important in space too, I will submit. So, of course, some of you don't believe in that stuff. Oh well, whatever. So anyway, so we're really blessed here tonight to have these two individuals, because we're going to talk about things that's going to help you, heal you, take care of you. And by the way, for a shameless couple of plugs, if you've not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and ring that notification bell, because I'm going to bring you a lot more stuff on food. I've brought you many things on wild herbs that you can eat, wild plants, wild edibles, even eating from the trees. And I'll bring more of that kind of stuff in the future. But what these two ladies present is a super specialized version of that. So I will put links to their channels also. And please subscribe to their channels and bang that notification bell and click all when you go to their channels, because that's really the only way you can get notifications today, is to bang the all. And that way you see it all. And also right now is a great time to be buying seeds. And you can buy vegetable seeds. You can buy all kinds of seeds for your garden, including herbal seeds. You might get a lot of ideas after hearing Dakota today. But you need to grow your own as much as you can, because right now I just did a video about how the prices are really going to be shooting up. And we don't know what's happening in this world. I mean, the world is going bonkers. Things are coming at us from the left and right and up and down, internationally, domestically. If this is the time to get ready, this is the time to prepare. And growing your own food, growing herbs is very therapeutic. So I highly encourage you to go to True Leaf Market, check the links on my channel, because that helps me, and what you get will help you too. All right, well, enough said for all that. So Gail and Dakota have known each other. Dakota and Gail are both followers on my channel, as I'm finding out. And Dakota has a resource base of wealth of knowledge in the background of herbs that she's willing to share to help all of us out. And from what I hear, it's just an awesome resource. Gail Angeles is extolled on it extensively. And so I think it's best just to let Dakota tell us. Dakota, welcome to the channel. And tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us about your resource center, your database, whatever you call it.
Okay, well, I was living for 10 years alone in a 15,000 acre federal wilderness preserve. And that meant I had to take care of anything that went wrong without any doctor. And I also wanted to learn about the herbal medicine directly from the forest, because I was curious. I'd always heard that the indigenous people were able to discover what herbs did from the plants themselves.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I thought, well, if they could do that, would it be possible for someone like me to do that? If I was completely immersed, would the plants teach me? And they did. It was incredible. So I was very deeply involved with the plant medicine there. The Ozarks are known for the plant diversity. And in that particular wilderness, I had everything from ginseng to golden seal, and it was pretty much like a jungle down there.
So let me ask you, I see this wonderful picture of you. It looks to me like you have in your hands Queen Anne lace. Am I right or wrong?
That's it. Yeah.
I
Yep.
actually done a video on Queen Anne lace. Of course, you've got to be very particular with that so that you don't
Mhm.
get something that you don't want. You know, the stuff that Hippocrates took, right?
Yeah. The secret, the mnemonic for that is the queen has hairy legs.
Hairy legs. But
So
some,
if this
I have. That's true. But I have seen some varieties aren't so hairy, just a little bit. But that purple, but they also have a little purple flower in the center of the, too, right?
most of them do, but not all. So that can be a little bit tricky.
Huh?
But yeah, most of them do. So yeah, if it's got a hairy stem, you're safe. But still, it's a good idea to investigate that thoroughly before trying
Oh yeah.
any of the wild herbs. And not many of them are really poisonous, fortunately.
Well, hemlock is the analog, is the look-alike. They're both related. They're both in the carrot family.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's one more. There's another one too. What is it? It escapes my mind. There's another one that's kind of like hemlock. You don't want. It's it, but most of the bad ones got a real foul odor to them or taste.
Not hemlock.
Not hemlock. The other one.
Hemlock tastes pretty good.
Oh, it's the other one then. Yeah, there's another one, another variety that's got a foul odor to it. I can't think what it is right off. I'm getting brain locked, but so you actually tasted hemlock?
No, but I heard stories about people who died from it, and some people died from it in the wilderness that I lived.
Oh.
And so the hill people told me about a forester who had a sandwich, and he picked a few leaves of hemlock and put it in the sandwich and ate it. And they found him dead. So, and then there's another story about some people a long time ago, a woman and some children that were hungry and they ate it and died. So, you know, people don't eat something that tastes terrible. Of course, I suppose if you're starving, you would, but hemlock is said to have I have not tasted it, but it's said to have a nice taste.
So also I hear this preserve you lived in the Ozark Mountains is kind of like Skinwalker Ranch. Is that true?
Oh, big time. Now, I didn't know about Skinwalker Ranch when I lived there.
I know the man that owns it. I know the man that owns Skinwalker Ranch. I know him, Robert Bigelow.
Have you ever been there?
No, I haven't, but I know of people that have been there. I haven't been there myself.
Yeah.
But I know Robert Bigelow. I was actually hired to work for him at one time, and I decided not to go.
Yeah, he sold it to somebody else, and there's actually a pretty good series that was done by the new owner with all kinds of scientists there trying to find out what was going on there.
But he had a scientific team there.
What?
He had a scientific team there too.
Yeah, and what they discovered was kept under lock and key, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's top secret. The government was involved in all of that. So none of that was happening. I just called it the hurricane because it was the Hurricane Creek, which was a Cat 5, if you know what that means for kayakers. Oh. It's a very, very rugged wilderness with a very rugged creek. And so people didn't show up there very often. It's just very remote. It's like going to Alaska.
I lived in Alaska. So how did you get to live in this wilderness preserve and not get thrown out by the park rangers?
Well, when the government decided to set it up, there was a farmer in the middle of it who had been there for a long time, and the local people were up in arms about him being kicked out. So they grandfathered his farm into the wilderness, but they cut off all the road access, so he couldn't get his crops out. So he eventually had to leave, and that he sold that property to somebody who decided that they wanted to set up a self-sufficient spiritual community there. I found out about that. I was in California. I found out about that And that's what I wanted to do. So I went with a small group of people to set up a self-sufficient community there. But it was so remote, people couldn't hack it and they left. Or they were scared by everything that was happening and just had to get out of there.
So could a person today go there and just live in isolation?
Well, if they wanted to go to that particular piece of land, they could, but they wouldn't want to because of what happened at the end of the story.
Oh wow. We'll save that for the end. Let's talk about herbs, because all that's a little bit outside the scope of my.
Yeah. But while I'll just tell you, I started this 16 years ago, the herbal database, when I was living there, because I needed to be able to quickly get information. And I had a lot of books, but digging through books for something can take a lot of time. And there was an anthropology professor who found out about me and gave me a little tiny computer with some solar power. And I started compiling everything that I had into the database 16 years ago, and I've been working on it ever since. So, and I'm way not done yet. So yes, I'm going to show that to you. And one thing I want to say is that there's a misconception about herbal medicine. And what that is that it's just about herbs, but really what it is traditional medicine. And it was where all of our doctors came from up until the AMA came along and changed our course.
Oh, you mean until J.D. Rockefeller turned it into petroleum pill pushing?
Right. Yes, you got it. And the pharma industry and all of that, and made it illegal. Like all herbalists were called doctors. But after the AMA, it was illegal to be a doctor, as you know, and without their licensing. So herbal medicine is a vast field because it's not just the plants themselves, but you have to know about physiology, you have to know about something about biology, aside from the different health problems, and also diagnoses, and all of those things are involved under I would say a misnomer of herbal medicine. It's botanical medicine. But in the database, what I did was I combined the traditional herbal medicine, if you want to call it that, both Eastern and Western, so Ayurveda, Chinese, Western herbalism, along with our contemporary medicine, and pulled in all of the science that demonstrates that the ancients were on the right track. And as a result, we get a picture of what holistic medicine is really all about, focusing on the herbs, of course. So as you'll see.
So are you of Choctaw descent, or did you just find a way to tap into their knowledge?
My great grandmother was purebred Choctaw.
Okay.
And a granny woman. And then my grandmother was mixed, but also an Ozark granny woman. And I learned from my grandmother starting when I was 5 years old.
Ah, okay. So
amazing.
You got it from the source. Okay, very good. And you were taught and learned that you could, in some fashion, learn from the plants how they would help us. How does that work? Is that like
well, for example, first of all, I understood that nature has had broadband internet for 4 billion years. and I learned that the forest taught me that, and I'll share that story sometime, but I got plugged in to nature's broadband where information is shared. And once I was plugged into that, then I was getting downloads from all kinds of areas in the wilderness. And when I needed something, and it was based on need, when I needed something, for example, poison ivy, and I was walking around looking for something besides jewelweed because there wasn't any that would help me.
Jewelweed would help. That's right.
Yeah, there wasn't any jewelweed at the time. I was walking around just going, okay, I need something for this. And I walked past a big wild lettuce plant. And all of a sudden, I felt this impulse to just stop and turn and look at the plant. And it just had it's hard to explain, but I learned that there's a certain type of sensation you get when it's the broadband internet sending you information. And so I went, and I walked up to it and I knew about the sap. So I opened it up and I took some of the white sap and put it on my poison ivy, and boom, it did a fantastic job of healing that.
Wow, I did a video on 5 uses of sap from wild lettuce, and I covered 3 different varieties of wild lettuce, including Carolina blue flowered version. And holy smoke, I didn't know that poison oak was one of its attributes, and it's a powerful painkiller. It's called wild opiate, wild opiate.
Yeah.
By some.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a new one on me.
Well, it was new on me too, because I thought I knew everything about wild lettuce, and you never know everything about any of these plants.
Wow.
And so I was surprised, but I went, and that's the other thing about it, is that when these messages would come from the plants, there was kind of like a contract you had to sign that it would talk to you if you paid attention and did what it said. And so even sometimes when it seemed like craziness, you had to just go, okay, I know this is real. I'm going to do this because I can tell where it's coming from and it's going to be beneficial. And then you find out, lo and behold, that it does what it says it was going to do.
Wow.
I can empathize with you with communicating and all that. And it's really interesting because I didn't know the aspect about you, Dakota. So this is really cool to hear, because even if I have to pull some, say, unwanted items, because I have so much in my garden, they will communicate.
Yeah.
Detail on this channel, but they will communicate about it. And then also when I'm harvesting, I get communication, which is different than if I'm removing something.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's like in pictures in a sense. It's because obviously it's not in.
It's kind of like just a direct knowing is how it feels to me.
There you go.
You just know it. And there's no question. You know how it feels when you know something? There's a visceral or a physical sense when you know something, as opposed to wondering or thinking or imagining. When we know, the only way we know something is because of the way it feels in our body. And so that's kind of how it is. And another aspect of it that I learned was that, and this is kind of something I learned about Skinwalker Ranch, that they talked about, that when you went there, there was a presence that checked you out, and you had to be respectful and humble and calm in order to live there without any detrimental events happening. That was true of the hurricane as well. And so part of the contract is that I had to be very respectful of all of the life in that forest. And so I didn't even forage or harvest any of the wild herbs for 3 years. Instead, I watched them all and spent time with them. And when I knew that it was a stable population, and I knew which ones were the grandmother or the mother plants, and which ones were the children that could be used and how much, then I was able to harvest. But here's one other thing that's worth knowing. There's an Indian tradition where if someone was ill, very ill, and the plants that were supposed to work on them weren't doing the job, they would go to a plant that should be doing the job, and they would sit with it for a day in meditation and ask for its help. Now, in the database, there's a whole section on plant intelligence. And what the plant does, the plants are the master chemists in the ecosystem. And the plant, through biophotons, is able to read our chemistry, and they can change their own chemistry, either to help us or hurt us. So the person who needed help would meditate with the plant and ask for help for a whole day. And then the next day they would harvest the plant, and it was essentially personalized medicine because the plant had altered its chemistry in such a way to provide the person with the exact assortment of phytochemicals that they were going to need to heal. So that was absolutely fascinating to learn that they respond to us in that way. That's one of the things that pharmacies hate, because it makes them very you can't depend on them. Their medicine varies according to whether they think you're a good person or somebody that shouldn't be there.
Oh.
I can empathize with you too, with even essential oils too. I notice when it mixes with the body chemistry, it's different for each person. Have you noticed that as well, Dakota?
Oh yeah, everything's different. And so that's why in herbal medicine, one of the things that we learn is something called the constitution, or the ground of the person. And so if we understand what someone's constitution is, that helps us in choosing the right herbs for that particular constitution as well.
Okay, how about us redheads? We're different chemically.
You absolutely are. And so and eye color makes a difference too. So that's something, I can't speak to that specifically right now, but there's, when it comes to the constitution, there are different classifications according to, say, Ayurveda or Chinese medicine or traditional Western medicine. And that can be a little bit confusing, but you can dig down into it and understand something about tissue states and things like that. And in the database, I have herbs that are recommended for particular types of constitutions or tissue states, that sort of thing. I don't have everything laid out that way, but there's enough to get a feel for. But partly what you can do is trust your intuition. You know, if you have the knowledge, that's the thing, is like intuition and knowledge learning go together.
And that's what I'm finding too, as I've been doing this garden, as you know, Dakota, and well, for just a little over a year now, and I'm learning so much from the plants. And then you also know my little story from going through Superstition Mountains and just getting some downloads as well. So there's so much more going on than what people realize, and I'm so thinking about it. And I can't wait for you to show the audience your ultimate herbal database, because it is a plethora of knowledge and resources. And I really want more people in the world to see this and utilize this, because I think it's, and especially for creating communities like we're talking about on a previous show, I think this is vital knowledge, and you have such a gift to offer everyone.
Well, so Greg, how do we do that? Have you figured out how the...
Well, I'm going to try to make you the host and see if you can share. Here you go. Do you want to make Dakota a host? Bing, your host.
Okay.
So see if you can share now. No, by the way, in terms of broadband internet and nature, our DNA has it actually emits light through it. And Russians found this way back, and it's been proven and verified since. But if you look at the diameter of the DNA helix, it's at the same frequency of 2 angstroms, which is along the area of UV light, ultraviolet. That's probably why ultraviolet light can do so much damage to our DNA, is it's actually resonant with our DNA. And so it can really damage the DNA because of that. But on the same frequency, I should say, it turns out that this may be a means of communications. And I've wondered if this is actually the key to the Ashkotic record, because the thing that's always, and what you're talking about may be the same, one of the same as the Ashkotic record. What fascinates me is that how people can get transplants from another person, organ transplant, and they pick up, memory as we know it is in the brain, but somehow they pick up personality traits from the individual they get an organ from. If that individual smoked, if they were drink or liked a particular kind of beer, or if they had some particular peculiar habits, these people will tend to pick them up. And if they get in the heart, oh my gosh, they it's like a massive download of the other person. I guess because the heart is so intertwined with their entire body, because the blood goes everywhere. So it's just really interesting. Of course, I don't know how Dick Cheney stayed so mean with all the. Just kidding. I'm having a little fun here, guys. But we might call this a live action role playing session. But
that's what Rex would say.
yeah, at this point, we might should just call this a live action role playing session because I don't have necessarily I don't have a a metaphysical channel here, but definitely we're delving into that territory here. I try to keep things on the basis of science and but you've got some interesting perspectives here. So and you've done a lot of research in this. You've had direct physiological work with people and yourself in terms of dealing with symptoms and treating them with herbs. So tell us what you've got here. You've got a heck of a tool, and this is it looks like it's very visual. So what is this?
Yeah. Okay. So right now, what I thought I'd do, I want to show you a few things to kind of jumpstart the conversation. But then what I would like to do is, as I'm opening things, you guys take a look at it and tell me where you would like me to go next. Okay. But first of all, I just pulled up The Heart Is Not a Pump. And this is a really important area for people to understand. This is science. And so I'll just tell you how it works right now. I use that search box down there. This color is about anatomy and physiology. Everything's color coded because herbalists, and also this is for doctors and nurses who want to integrate their medicine. So it's a very high level, but it's also just for the practical person at home who just is starting out. But at any rate, so here, there are two little arrows here, and I can open this information panel all the way. And so here, up here, we've got some videos, for example. And so you can watch, this is right inside the database. And now I'm going to close it back up. But I'm going to go up here now to the menu area. You don't have to use this. You can use the search box for whatever you're looking for. And I'm going to open up this menu area. So these are some broad categories that I've thrown in here. And I think one of the first ones I want to show you is this introduction to herbalism, because no matter where you are, this is important. You can, if you've been an herbalist for 50 years, this still is applicable. So for example, there are a lot of links here. And we've got one about the art of asking right questions. You click on that link and go to that article. This is a menu of what's in this area: tissue states, the energetics of taste, the four humors, the constitutions, etc. But I'm just going to click on the introduction of herbalism and show you some of the broad categories under there. And so people need to understand the principles of therapeutics. And so here are the main principles, but the one to start with is the therapeutic order. This is where you begin to understand holistic medicine. And again, there are tabs here that explain that. But essentially what the therapeutic order is a set of guidelines to help you resolve the symptoms and determine underlying causes. And as it's set up as a pyramid, and the very base of the pyramid, the most important part is about lifestyle. And that's why I've attached lifestyle. So that's diet, exercise, sleep, the whole 9 yards. And here under lifestyle, we've got some pretty cool things about social relationships and health. That would be good for community. Stress reduction, good for everybody. What about your work environment? Dietary interventions. If I click on that, that's the color for that. And these are all the different diets. And so here we see, for example, dietary effect greatly exceeds the genotype effect. The greatest way to change your microbiome is through diet. In experiments with mice, one day after a dietary change, they have a different microbiome. It's also true with humans. If you eat a lot of carbohydrates, you have a lot of Prevotella, a lot of protein, it's Bacteroides, so on and so forth. But here's the new plate. the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine came up with. And then if you scroll down further, I've always got articles and studies in here. I go through the literature constantly every day and pull out the studies and sort them out to where they best apply. So all of these, the diet we were meant to eat, moderation kills, and then here are more videos. The single most important thing you can do for your health. So you could spend forever just in this section.
Yeah.
But I'm going to close that up for a second.
You got
and
John
show-
Kohler in there.
Yeah, look how many different ones she has there for dietary interventions. She has so many. She has like paleo and rainbow and raw, and I mean all these different ones. So I think
Wow, a person would spend months exploring this. Holy guacamole.
You could spend years. And so there's a scroll bar down here when it pops up automatically when there's still more to be seen. I'm pulling it aside. So like what happens when you're too busy to eat. But the bottom line on all of these diets, what it boils down to is cleaning up your act, avoiding the glyphosate, avoiding GMO, all of that. If you just do that stuff, you're going to be okay. So you don't have to go crazy figuring out which one you want to do.
That's exactly what I discovered too. I'm glad you're saying that.
That's why I tell people to grow their own food.
We're going to get, yes. And so here's about organic food, why it's important, and food in general. So we could go here, and here we've got food as medicine, big area. What about the food industry, the history of food, food packaging, removing pesticides from food. So this is huge. And then there's harmful food substances, cooking tips and recipes. But I'm going to go back up here since you mentioned growing food. And there's another menu here for gardening. Now,
wow.
I originally designed this for herb gardening, but it's expanded since then. And these are all sub menus. So, and here's more links to the menus here, like the history of gardening, agriculture's mistakes, the folly of big agriculture, why nature always wins, sources for seeds and plants. But I'm going to go to soil menu, for example. And now we go down to soil.
That's the beginning. That's the basics of everything in organic garden.
Yep.
The good soil is living soil. Is the first verse of the first chapter of any decent treatise on organic gardening.
Absolutely. And so you've got everything you need to know about it here. For example, here is a PDF on below ground diversity and ecosystems. It's taking a second to load. I never know how fast things are going to load when I'm doing this.
Did you set this whole thing up yourself?
Yes.
Wow.
I've been working on it.
I just wait to see how much more she has. I mean, she has so much.
I'm already blown away. I mean, how long did it take you to do this database?
It's been 16 years.
16 years. Well, the other thing, this has got to be the prettiest database I've ever seen in my life. I never knew a database could be so artistic.
Well, you know,
extensive and organized well too.
Yeah.
The visual, a lot of us are visual. And if you want to get the big picture, see, that's what I'm trying to do here is connect everything together.
So it's the relational database that I get, but just the way it all connects together so artistically is just amazing.
Yeah, well, if I'm going to work on something, it better be pretty is all I have to say.
Well, you nailed it.
So, you know, if you want potting mixtures, the soil requirements of herbs, sustainable soil management, permaculture is also in here. You are in here under vermiculture. Here's greenhouses, fertilizers, eco landscaping.
Oh, I'm in here.
Yeah, you're under worms.
Worms.
Under vermiculture.
Worms. That's me.
Yeah,
now this is important for your community, this eco landscaping. And so here is just a great deal of information that you can use. So here's principles of ecological landscape design. That's a whole big video. Okay, let me just go through a few more things and then I'm going to let you guys play with me. So now another area that's super important is first aid.
Oh yeah.
So let's go to the first aid menu. And again, if I open up this information panel, this is kind of a quick view of each of these is a link to something in the database, like how do you treat active shooter injuries, right?
Oh, wow.
That's kind of big right now. What about allergic reactions? I'll just click on that for a second to show you. And under that, you've got how to use an EpiPen. And it turns out peach flower is, in general, that's for the leaf, twig, or bark, is very good for allergic reactions. So you see there's and I'm just going to click on that for a second just to show you how the herbs look. You've got anaphylactic shock connected, allergies connected. So here we're looking at peach flower or the twig or the bark. I love peach. Have you used it?
Yeah, that's a new one for me. I'm like, wow, I didn't know.
Yeah, that's new.
So if you have a peach tree, you don't have to wait for the peaches. I know of one Native American medicine man whose only medicine is the peach. So here we've got the energetics, and if you don't know what that is, there's a whole section that teaches you about energetics. The primary organ system affinities, and here indications, dryness, heat, irritability. I'm not going to read all this stuff, it's too much. It's a superlative remedy when heat or excitement is combined with dryness. Now, there was a primitive skill school that used to come down 4 times a year to study with me on the hurricane. And they like to bring their homemade wines. And we had, they would spend a weekend and we would sample their various concoctions. And one poor woman got really drunk, but it happened to be, and she had a hangover the next day when we were going to go out looking at plants. But I had made a peach leaf beverage the night before, and it just so happens it's the perfect thing for hangovers. But anyway, here we've got it divided of different things that it does: bug bites, hair, bad breath, sedative. So you can scroll down and see all these different things that peach, just plain old peach will do. And then you can go to preparations. How do you use it? About the toxicity. You never use wilted peach leaves, they're toxic. The bark is stronger. Here's how to use the kernels and pits, formulations. And here's a postmenopausal. This is the color for making your own medicine and specific indications. So let's go back up here to menus. I'm doing this quickly because I want you guys to play with me. All right, so here's the plant intelligence menu.
Ooh.
And so here we've got the biophotons and the quantum holographic matrix. Now I have quantum biology in here as well. That they didn't think it was possible, but it is, and I've got that in here. All about the biophotonics, the light in our cells, the research.
That's what I was talking about.
Yep, and it's valid. How plants learn, morphogenic fields, plant-human symbiosis, plant autonomy and human-plant ethics, et cetera, et cetera. I just open up that main heading, you see these things. So that's a good, fun place to hang out. And the mycelium, of course, are good. Now we've got taxonomy in here. So everything is, all of the plants are organized according to their taxonomy. Traditional Chinese medicine. And of course, you've got, making herbal medicine, big, 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 right? So here's a menu that shows according to the basics around the house, cosmetic, hair. You click on any of those and you're taken to where you can make those things and how to do it. And so let's see, I might want to show you one more, and then I'm going to ask you guys to do something. Oh, and dosing, how do you dose? What are dosage guidelines? How do you make formulas?
So we probably need to give a disclaimer here, just so we don't all get arrested.
Okay.
So this proper disclaimer would be to see your medical doctor if you have any illness, and inquire with them about the use of any other things, which we know how that'll go. But that's the disclaimer we need to say here. And of course, we might say again, this is a live action role playing session.
Yeah.
But,
And it's just education is all it is.
yeah, this is education. Everybody's got to do, things according to the, I don't know how to say this, but the proper thing is to tell everybody to check with their doctors and go through.
Yeah.
Now,
if you
go with someone, so you could say also that these things help your body heal itself, and that's another workaround.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Help your body heal itself.
The workaround, that these are great assistant catalyst. I don't know. You gotta have some kind of workaround language, or our freedom of speech is so secure these days, they'll come haul us away and shut us down.
Okay, so anyway.
Thank you, JD Rockefeller.
Yeah.
So much.
Well, the medical system, anything you can think of related to health and wellness, from psychological to emotional to social to the pharmaceutical drugs, it's all in here. So anyway, now I'm going to ask you guys to just use your imagination or whatever and just tell me something that you would like to see in here.
I have something. I have a friend that wrote me, and I'm probably going to mispronounce what she thinks that she has going on. And if you could pull up anything you have on that, then I'd be happy to show her this video. So symptoms of endometriosis. Have anything in the database for that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, define endometriosis for
I'm misspelling it.
Regular people.
She says END.
Now, why am I misspelling it? I'm
TRIOSIS.
Spell it again. I do this all the time. I should know it.
ENDO. METRI.
Yeah.
SIS.
Yeah. Okay, so it's coming up. Okay, so now here we see that one of the things that can cause it is bisphenol A. This color is a poison. It's listed under endometrial disorders. And under here are phytochemicals and herbs and things that have been shown, demonstrated to help with it. But in this section itself, it explains what it is. Here are videos. Does a natural approach work? Understanding the pain, about the adhesions. These are all videos here. You just click on them and you can watch them. And then we've got studies that talk about the causes. And there's a number of chemicals in the environment that can cause that. Also, deficient intake of antioxidants is associated with an intensification of severity. So that's a good place to start, get those antioxidants in there, but you need to look up antioxidants because you can mess that up. You can have too many. So you would just go to the search box and look up antioxidants to learn more about how to use those. And then here's about BPA exposure and endometriosis. And then we get down here to treatment. And the most important herb is Vitex.
Is what?
Yeah, I would have thought that too. Okay.
Vitex.
I haven't suggested that to her yet, but I am familiar with
Now,
Vitex.
does Vitex treat the symptoms from bisphenol A? Because bisphenol A is ubiquitous in our environment today.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to click on it real quickly.
And what is Vitex, by the way?
It's also called chasteberry, or monk's pepper. The monks used to take it in Europe to quell their sexual desire.
Most people these days would be interested in the opposite.
Yeah. So now I've gone to bisphenol A, and here's a whole bunch, again, videos. There's 2 scroll bars here. I have to grab the right one. But also all these risk factors about what happens when you're exposed to it. That's all from the journals. That's the literature. It can cause asthma, autoimmune disorders, Here's how it affects the bones, cancer, cardiovascular, cellular effects, diabetes, estrogen effects, gynecological, infertility, immune, learning and memory, liver effects, metabolic effects, it's a neurotoxin, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, these are in pacifiers we give our babies to suck on.
I know.
Never use those.
It's
Never,
everywhere.
ever. No binkies.
But at the end, we get onto some things that help reduce the toxic effect.
Yeah, there we go.
And we all need this, but you have to learn whether it's something you can take or not, or how to use it. So here's just, let's see, Nigella sativa oil and thymoquinone help. And so quercetin, and I always tell people, they don't just read the title of the study, click on it and read the study itself. If it's an animal study, you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt. It may or may not apply, but it's a good place to start. So now I'm going to close this up to show you the big picture on bisphenol A. So you see how I'm tying all these things together.
Yes.
And so here's the dangers of BPA-free plastics. So that just getting rid of BPA doesn't mean we're out of the...
Amen. I've heard that they're even worse.
Yeah. And here's BPS. So I click on that. You've got all the information, bisphenol F, AF. But here also we have some of the things that help. So this color is for the phytochemicals. And when you click on that, you'll see where you can find that, what plants have it. And then that can help you make a decision about which plants you want to take. Boron, of course, can be a supplement. That's from green tea. And that's from grapefruit. Quercetin, which is also really good for COVID.
What is quercetin?
Okay, let's click on it. See, now you guys are playing with me.
Well, I take quercetin, so I know what it is, but it's for the audience, let's go through the motions.
This is one of the most important nutrients, an antioxidant that is also good for COVID. But up here, now there's another scroll bar. So up here, you're looking at things that it does. So it's a mast cell stabilizer. And when we have bad allergies or something called mast cell activation syndrome, which causes the major cytokine storm that kills people in COVID, if you use a mast cell stabilizer, it helps keep those from pumping out the inflammatory chemicals. But it treats high blood sugar, antihistamines, rheumatoid arthritis. And if I scroll with this scroll bar, you see all of these things it's related to. Now that means that this is part of our physiology. So it has an effect on cancer stem cells, on our gut microbiome. These are autoimmune, that's the color of autoimmune. So inflammatory bowel disease, it goes on and on. Alzheimer's, phytochemicals. We're not going to go through all of it, but here on this side, you see some of the things that have a lot of it. So,
The way I'm making my vegetable broth, correct me if I'm wrong, Dakota, but in my book, the way I'm making my vegetable broth, when I'm taking the onion peels and garlic peels and all that, doesn't that have quercetin also? So I'm
major one of, in fact, there's another scroll bar. So I'm going to scroll down so that you can see more.
I'll pull that picture.
You can use the flowers from the elderberry plants, eh?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and now the garden onion, the peel of it has some of the highest levels of quercetin. But
yeah, so page 21 in my recipe book, I'm using a bunch of different ends of everything and such. So I hardly have any waste. I find a use for almost everything.
All right, I'm on page 21. I feel like I'm in a church about to pick the song to sing from.
So here's
you're funny.
Page 21 in your hymn books. I got you here.
Let's start singing. Oh, vegetable.
Just kidding. Oh, vegetable, oh, vegetable.
It'll make your audience laugh.
Well,
okay, go ahead.
Greg, music is also, of course, in the database, and we can't live without it.
Yeah, the database. Well, hey, I cut loose a few crazy songs every now and then. I kind of ad lib and mix it up and scare my subscribers off from time to time with that.
It's good. It breaks the pattern. And so anyway, here's all about the quercetin. Tells how to use it for COVID. There's a lot of information, health benefits, and again, diabetes, anti-inflammatory, heart disease, cancer, a clinical summary, mechanism of action. And then there's always, I always include drug interactions.
Mechanism of action. See, that's important. That you got it when you got that. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if it'll show me when I'm talking, but I've got page 21 of Gail's book open here, and it's got these onions here and garlic and looks like celery. And she got something in the ball jar there. Hey, I grow a lot of garlic myself, so.
What I do, Greg, is as I'm chopping things up to make recipes, I keep the skins and then I put them in with all the other things I mentioned in there. And I think you can cover that too, that I take the ends of things and use that for my broth so I don't waste anything, and plus I get extra nutrients that way.
Yeah. Yep, that's the way to do.
Because you use the ends in your broth.
Yeah, that's the way to do.
I'll use that broth as a base to make something like my quinoa I did today. I was making quinoa bowls, which is another recipe in my book. And I soaked the quinoa first. And then after waiting a few hours, I actually cooked it in that vegetable broth. It's so delicious.
Hey, I'm curious about growing quinoa up in northeast Arizona, because it's, typically a mountain plant. It's 5,000 feet in elevation. I'm thinking that might be a good place to grow quinoa.
Yeah. I think so. Try it.
Yeah.
Now, if you, and then of course we've got studies here. So, and this is just because people think there's no science to this stuff. Well, excuse me, but that is far from the truth. So anybody that wants to use herbal medicine now has science at their back. And so here are all these studies about what quinoa does. I mean, we do have quinoa, but what quercetin does.
We're gonna make some quinoa. I should bring over my bowls. Just kidding. It's just being funny.
So yeah, of course I have to pull up quinoa now.
Hungry.
So here we have quinoa recipes.
Oh, fun.
And then one of the phytochemicals that it has a lot of is something called camphorol. And if you click on that, now it's good. Like in the old days, when I would read about the constituents and there are all these names of all of these different constituents, I would just skip that part because I didn't have a clue what they did. But eventually I realized I should understand it, and I built out a whole section.
And great for quinoa, soy leaf extract. Okay, so I'm looking at all this and my head is like in a hurricane here. There's so much stuff here. It's like information overload. So, and I'm a person who follows herbs and uses them and wild edibles. And so. So
you see what I mean, Greg, how extensive this is. This is.
I've got an engineering background. This is very extensive. So do you have like a one-on-one class version of this? I mean, for the uninitiated, when they first come into your database, where should they start at? I mean, holy guacamole.
Well, the way it's designed, I've studied education for a long time, and I have a school, and I do give live classes, although last year I didn't do that because of COVID. But I've learned that one of the best ways for people to learn is to follow their curiosity and learn what's relevant and interesting to them at the time. So they really can start just about anywhere here. You mentioned foraging, and it's related to wildcrafting.
Right.
So let's go to spring edibles, for example.
I got plenty of them outside right now. All kinds of spring.
Yeah.
And
oh yeah,
dandelion and all up. There you go, right there.
And then there's another heading, wild food, which is divided differently. And so here we've got, what are the edible shoots, seed pods, multiple edible parts, grains, flour, I'll just click on that if you want to know what you can make flour out of. All of these plants. So if you click on any of these, you get the whole 9 yards about that. So, yeah.
Yes, put to some good use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then of course we've got the essential oils. There, when I say it covers everything, I'm not even joking. I'm not even exaggerating.
Oh, I can see it.
Essential oils for autism. That's
Wow.
nice.
This whole thing is just extensive.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't this beautiful?
Wow. Is it?
So people can subscribe to her database.
Yeah.
Is there a way you can
$12 a
download
month?
this?
No, you can't.
Download this?
No, you can't. But and you have to use it on. Well, you can do is subscribe to it. It's only $15 a month.
15, okay.
Or $100 a year.
Well, that's where I was getting that from. Okay.
Yeah, and then you have, the thing about it is you have to use it on a computer. It won't work on mobile. And so the beauty of it, and I've got doctors in Greece who are treating COVID patients using this, you know, because they need to be able to expand beyond what they've been offered. So it's for everybody really. And one of the things I am doing, in fact, I should mention, I'm doing a free class tomorrow. I'm doing free classes for people who subscribe. I'm starting that up again. I took a break from it. Free monthly classes. And this one is going to be on the vaccine.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh.
I think I'm doing something else at that time. Let's see, what time tomorrow?
6:30 Central. So if you're in the database, you can go to this free monthly class section and there'll be information about how to join a class. So I'm going to start doing more of these. And of course, on my YouTube channel, I do a lot. Every time I do a video for that, like if I did one on anxiety, for example, which I did, I'm using the database and showing people what they can find in the database to help with anxiety. And same for schizophrenia, or, you know, a whole bunch of different topics are on my YouTube channel where I am showing people how to use this.
Okay, I'm gonna throw you a crazy question. What if you're growing scales on your skin?
Well, that's
No, I mean actual scales, not just dry skin. I mean actual scales.
Yeah. So here's the topic. This is part of a diagnosis, scaly skin rashes. And so there's something called pityriasis, and that means scales. So there's different scaly conditions. It could be any of those. So let me open up this, and let's just take this one. Pityriasis lichenoides chronica. Pityriasis means fish, right?
Fish.
Like very fine scales. And here's a picture kind of what that looks like. And here we see how bromelain can help with that. Also psoralen. And then there's another
source of that bromelain.
What?
Pineapple can be a good source of bromelain, right?
Oh yeah. And then of course there are videos about it that get into it in detail. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. And so you would, if you had that, you would just put in the scaly skin thing, and then you'd see there are different conditions that have that problem.
So I say I threw that out there as an oddball, and you just went right to it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the beauty of it. See, one of the things is time. We don't have time to just pour through the infinity of information. So the idea that the way I've set this up is to try to make it so that folks can find relevant information quickly. And it's really fast, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Wow.
These are all skin disorders. So I have things divided up according to parts of the body, skin dermatology, and how to diagnose skin health, face mapping,
On
face reading.
Morgellons? Just
Oh
'cause I'm
yeah,
curious.
of course.
Morgellons. What is Morgellons?
Oh yeah, there we go. That's how you pronounce it. Sorry.
Yeah. I know what it's claimed to be, but what the heck causes it for real?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here we've got
Borrelia syndromes.
mhm.
Fill 'em up.
And Stephen Buhner, who's one of our leading herbalists, these are what he recommends for it. And so there's a protocol here. And then of course we've got videos. Oops, that one is gone. I'm gonna have to see. I always have to go through and find links that have been disappeared on us. But here's a video. What is it? How do you get it? And it's considered a Borrelia syndrome, excuse me, by some, not everybody. You know what Borrelia is, yeah?
Tell us.
It's what causes Lyme disease. That is a spirochete. And so it can, there are different types of spirochetes. It can induce Alzheimer's.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. But we've got Borrelia burgdorferi is the one that causes Lyme. And that's another big deal. So if you want, you can learn about the spirochete that causes that. It's a type of bacteria. And then you've got Lyme disease, which is huge. And these are essential oils that help with Lyme disease. And then of course here we've got about how to use homeopathy, its history,
What's the color?
finding a
What's the color code for
what
essential?
for what?
Is there a color code for essential oils?
Yeah, this color here, essential oils for Lyme disease.
Oh, okay.
So let's see which one's oregano. Yeah. Okay. Clove. Okay. Garlic. Interesting.
Tick repellent.
Mm-hmm. That's how to make good tick repellents. So let's click on that. These are the best oils that have been proven to repel them. And then also some plants. So if you have American false pennyroyal growing around, you can just take that and rub it on your skin, or they won't come into the area. Generally,
let's check out beautyberry as a plant. Can we do that?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. And that's the one that protects you from mosquito bites. Did you know that?
Oh, I know. I've got it growing out of an old forge of mine.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you can take the twigs and leaves and rub them on your skin, and it's a mosquito repellent. So raw berries, they're not very tasty, but you can eat them. The roots make an herbal tea. Fresh pressed leaves
What can you do with the roots? What are the roots good for?
Let's see. I don't see that right off the bat. Now, another thing that's in here, I've taken the old books, like the Physiomedical Dispensary from 1869, and I have put the entries from those old books in where I can.
Wow.
That's so awesome.
So you've got, there's a lot of old literature that's been added directly to this. So and let's see if what I've got and on the tabs. Eat the Weeds, you probably know him.
Makes me think of my dandelion pesto. I need to put that in a future recipe book.
Oh yeah. Now okay, you mentioned pastos. I love pastos. I'm gonna look up, whoops, I have to spell it right.
You know, I was trying my dangest to kill that beautyberry bush. I discovered what it is, so I'm gonna have to transplant it because it's growing in the middle of a mold blacksmith forge.
Oh,
And
yeah.
see, you have nettle too, nettle pesto, because I put nettle in my pesto in my 2 recipes in here. I have, let's see which pages were they.
Nettle pesto.
You have that too, because I use my nettle salt, and then I add
Mm,
nettle in there as well. So I have a
nice.
Okay, what about purple
Pesto
Dead-Nettle? It's a mint.
pine nut
Yeah.
pesto and dandelion pesto and another pesto too. I'm trying to remember.
Oh,
Here
come
you are.
on.
Purple
Here we go,
Dead-Nettle.
14 and 15. Here's some pestos, and they have nettle in them.
Well, all right. What fudge of the hymn book? 15 and what?
Oh, we will sing cashew cheese pesto and pine nut cheese pesto. We're gonna make Dakota laugh tonight.
We're going to have to start a sing along from your cookbook, Gail.
Bring out the guitar. Let's see what pestos she has too. I want to see what Dakota has on her database because she had it up for a second and we kind of digressed.
Okay, well, here's purple Dead-Nettle. Allergy sufferers get ahead with purple Dead-Nettle. Okay, it's good for allergies, right?
Oh,
Let me open it up. Of course, it's edible.
oh yeah,
Um,
I've ate it.
and so here's a whole bunch of
It's
different
it's
things
going like
on it.
crazy around here now. It's furry. It's a little furry though. If you're going to swallow that, you better have something to drink to wash
Yeah.
it with. It can hang in your
Yeah, you
cook-
can throw it in a smoothie. Throw it in a smoothie and you get rid of that. But one of the things I like it for is it pulls in the early pollinators. So I let it grow wild around my gardens to get those pollinators fed.
You got bees. I got a guy that's got bees on the back of my place here too.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Goody.
So
That.
here's a recipe using the Dead-Nettle. So let me close this up because there's a recipe for Dead-Nettle enchiladas, which seems really cool.
Enchiladas. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Now here's an example. You might go, well, what the heck is that? And what's it doing in purple Dead-Nettle? This phytochemical, germicrene, right? What? I would have just ignored that in the past.
Enchilada.
Enchilada. I was thinking of using my taco seasoning to make like a
all the way to
quinoa taco bowl.
Oh, you wanted me to go back to pesto.
Taco
Oh,
bowl.
yeah, I want to see your pestos.
Okay,
I love pesto.
me too. I love chickweed pesto. That's one of my favorites.
Sweet pesto.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, pumpkin seed. That's the other one I do is the pumpkin seed. Pumpkin seed pesto.
And so we've got Mexican cilantro pesto, hemp sun-dried tomato, ooh, garlic scape and almond, garlic mustard, dandelion,
Yep.
basil, of course, with
Basil.
oatmeal.
Oh, interesting. Oatmeal.
Yeah, and then of course another basil. Now there's fermented. See, fermented food. We know that is so important. So let's just pull that up.
Yo, you need a restaurant.
I know. Well, you know what? It's going to be in the community, Greg. That's the idea. And I've been corresponding with some other people I'll mention after we're done with the recording that are interested in helping us and plan to.
Yeah, for folks that don't know,
we'll talk about it when we're not recording.
Community plants in Arizona, folks. Turmeric, fermented turmeric. Oh wow! You know I grow turmeric.
Do you grow it in
Yeah,
a
he
pot?
does grow turmeric.
I
Do
grow
you grow it in
turmeric.
a pot?
Do what?
You grow it in a pot?
No, I grow it in the ground outside.
You lucky man.
I grow it in the ground. So, and I got lots of it. In fact, I got to dig a bunch up. I've left it in the ground. I got to dig it up now. It's about time to plant again.
And it overwintered okay? You're in Kentucky, right?
No, I'm in Alabama.
Oh, in Alabama. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm in northern Alabama, about 8 miles south of Tennessee. Probably about as far north as I can get away with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too cold here.
Yeah. Where are you
So-
located? Where are you at now?
I'm in northwest Arkansas,
Okay.
near Eureka Springs.
Okay. Okay.
I'm on a farm called a ranch called the Stand a Chance Ranch.
Stand a Chance Ranch. I love that. That's a great name.
Isn't
Stand
that great?
a Chance Ranch.
Yeah,
That's
because
got a
we
ring.
all of us stand a chance, right?
That's right. That's
We
right.
should
Positive.
stand a chance.
It's got a ring.
Yeah. So if you're into fermented foods, you can have a lot of fun here.
Wow.
Everything about how to do it, about the brine, beverages, about the probiotics, the fruits, the herbs, and how to do your natto, koji, how to do winter ferments, everything. And it's good for intestinal dysbiosis and for low stomach acid, how to make your own mason jar airlocks, homemade. And then now there's also, I should show you this, a vegetarian diet. One of the many diets. And boom.
Look at that. Oh, you might break the internet with such a pretty face there. You better.
You both are so sweet.
And of course, this is loaded with studies all about, look at all the stuff we know about a vegetarian diet and videos. So everything is loaded with, you could do a vegetarian ketogenic diet, a SIBO diet, a vegetarian diet, like a Mediterranean, and then of course vegan recipes too. So there are tons of recipes in here.
All right. What about what about a carnivore diet?
Yes.
Yeah, she's gonna have that too.
What's that gonna look like?
Here's the thing is, I really try not to let my own bias dictate what's in here. And where there's controversy, I put the controversy in because we need to understand everybody's point of view. We need to understand that there can be valid reasons for people doing what they're doing and what they might be. So here is, and of course there's tabs up here that open up to videos and articles. And then it's surrounded like it's related to the paleo diet. And you might want to know about proteolytic fermentation that's going on. That's something that's happening physiologically when we're on a carnivore diet. You might want to know about animal protein. And then this is one of the things that you have to watch out for, the TMAO. So that's why it's colored that color.
TMAO.
That can be toxic. And that's one of the things when they say red meat causes heart disease, it's because of the TMAO. So researchers found the lack of whole grains was associated with the amount of it and could provide a link between reduced risks of cardiovascular disease we see in people with lots of whole grains. And so it's a product of oxidation of trimethylamine, which is a metabolite in animals. So here the thing is that it's buyer beware, right? We need to be aware of the pros and cons of everything that we're doing.
So how do you treat TMAO? And it looks like it's related to nitric oxide. So some people want to increase nitrous oxide in their diet, so that might be another thing to talk about here.
Yeah, and so and that is in here too. But L-carnitine, this is where the links come in. I'm not sure that, I think L-carnitine helps with that. I would have to double check. And that is, so this is all information from Sloan Kettering on L-carnitine. cardioprotective. I think that L-carnitine would help with the TMAO.
So that's why I like you get mechanism of action.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I want people to really understand as much as they want to understand about what's actually going on. So they have some depth of knowledge and are able to use it for whatever their own situation is. Now, here we see this as a supplement. That's the color of supplements. And then, of course, there's acetyl L-carnitine. And then I've always got cautions. I always ask people to read cautions on everything.
Good, good.
Smart.
And a lot of things we think of as harmless do have cautions. Now, I'm going to just...
Many years ago, and it was over 20, I heard there was this herb called yohimbe, and I heard, herbs don't hurt you. Holy smoke, it put me almost into seizures. I went into...
Yeah.
And I didn't take no unusual amount either, just a little bit. And I was not really a seizure, but I was just I was jerking all over. I couldn't control it. It scared the devil out of me. Oh, I never did that again. I stayed away from that. So I know some people tell me, oh, anything herbal safe. No. There's herbs you do not want.
So here's a way, this area, these are common drugs and that are used. Like, for example, what are the herbal interactions with statin drugs? Okay, because a lot of people are on those. So they could click on that and then open up the info panel.
That's something else I don't have any part of anymore, statins.
Oh, did you used to take those?
I briefly took them, and I was suddenly like losing the ability to walk. It's scary. I don't know what's happening to me. And I got doing a little research, and I threw that stuff away, and I recovered immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately. Now somebody, bull.
Yeah, and here's all the information on the statin drugs up here, and they're bad news. But anyway, if you're taking them, you need to know you shouldn't take Coca-Cola, you shouldn't drink grapefruit juice, nor red yeast rice. So, those are the bad guys for statins. But here, I've got almost all the major drugs in here. So statins are a cause of kidney damage, pancreatitis. They are using them for COVID, but I don't think that's good. And here's specific statin drugs, rhabdomyolysis, myositis.
Prescribed the stuff
all
like
of these
candy.
You did?
I said, doctors prescribe this stuff. It's like,
I know.
How I got prescribed, this doctor told me, so you're on one of your cholesterols, that it looks like it's just a little bitty, that's what he literally said, just a little bitty bit high. So let's get that under control right away. I'm going to prescribe this to you.
Oh, bad. Yes.
So it was just like a little bitty bit, and holy smoke. I took a boatload over what the symptoms were I got after that. It's like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a scary.
That fell naturally later anyway. So it wasn't something that really needed any extra control. I've never had it show up in any of my tests since.
Well, also, they keep changing what they consider normal cholesterol. So they keep bringing the number down, so that, what was considered normal 20 years ago is now considered high.
Well, you need cholesterol to build brain cells, nerve cells, the sheathing on your nerve cells, or else you get all kind of it's like having wires with no insulation on it. They all get short-circuited to each other, and you get all kind of problems. So yeah, you actually need cholesterol. You need fat in your body.
Also, it's the precursor for our sexual hormones, and people that don't have high enough cholesterol aren't producing enough testosterone or progesterone or estrogen. And so that's a side effect they don't really like to tell you. So here are, if you think you have high cholesterol, of course, you can open this up and find out what that actually is. These are all things that bring down high cholesterol levels, okay?
Celery.
And this is, celery's
water.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I normally eat a lot of those things already all the time.
Look at all these foods that will bring down cholesterol.
Maybe too much.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Bulbs.
And of course, there are risk factors. Vitamin A deficiency can cause high cholesterol.
What do you do to what can you do to increase the nitrous oxide in your blood?
I'll show you.
You have to E off the end. There we go. Found it anyway. Nitrous oxide.
Now, this Sanitize nasal spray is a product under development that's pretty exciting. That will, it's a nasal spray that can be used to prevent the SARS-CoV-2 from infecting the body. It destroys the SARS-CoV-2 virus in like 99% in a short time. So instead of a vaccine, you could carry this around, and there's a gargle too. It's not out yet.
We'll have to watch what we say. They'll ban my channel if we talk much about this kind of stuff.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna have to demonetize this video already. I know that because we've gone way beyond what they'll allow.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking things here that can get my channel banned.
Oh.
Yeah, you got to watch what you say on this platform. There's no freedom of speech, guys.
Well, I'm not afraid, Greg. If you don't mind, I'll mirror this. Do you mind if I mirror this and the other video we did on my channel? Because I would definitely. I'm not afraid if like they give me a strike or anything, but I definitely want to like.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
And you should get set up on some of these other alternatives if you're not already, like Odyssey, but yeah, all those.
Yeah, if they don't have any audience, you don't make any money on them. I'm trying to raise money to build my farm out. I need money just to get procure some more worms because my I'm rebuilding capacity, and I know when I go into sales, I'll go through it real fast. I've got to take care of some stuff in that area.
I hear you.
So I actually need money just to go to reopen my business.
Yeah.
If I want to buy worms, I'm not ready yet. I need money just to set up for that.
Well, anyway, so some of the things, when I was talking about the V, nothing was said there that was contradictory to science. So hopefully that's.
It don't matter.
I know. So anyway, nitric oxide, you want more of that?
Yeah.
Here are things that, and this is all according to the science, right? If you need to know what the levels are, this is the color for diagnostics. And so I always pull that in here. Here's diagnostics for cardiovascular stuff.
And then Greg, are you okay though with me downloading this after it airs, like a day after it airs, and just mirroring it on my channel? I just wanted to.
I'm good with that. So
okay, cool.
I'll put it up. I'm just going to demonetize it, and hopefully they won't spank me too hard over it.
Yeah, Dr. Paul Cottrell has had her on, and he's never had a problem. So he's similar discussions.
Is he monetized? Is his videos on this monetized?
They're monetized, no. So yeah, you can demonetize it, but they probably won't bother you other than that,
Yeah, I'm thinking I probably should do that.
I've had her on a few times, and he's been fine.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'm sorry, Greg. I didn't mean to hurt. I didn't mean to hurt you.
No, it's not your fault. Listen, because of this, one of the things that Gail and Paul and I and a bunch of other people have done is we've started this organization called the Freedom Restoration Foundation. Actually, I started it myself because we don't have freedom.
No.
And so we're taking that on, and
okay.
And it cuts across several areas. So go check out freedomrestorationfoundation.org.
Is that it? Do you have that listed on your YouTube channel? And your...
Yeah, it's in the show notes of several of my videos.
All right.
Now, when I do a live stream, a lot of times I don't put notes in or anything like that. But typically the videos I upload, I do. So you'll find it in there, and I've done a couple of videos specifically on that topic even. So,
Okay.
and Gail's
Yeah.
a big supporter, and she's helped out a lot in that area. So
Okay.
in fact, she's in charge of our Arkansas chapter.
Arizona chapter, right?
Yeah. You got me thinking about Arkansas there.
Oh no, not Arkansas, Arizona.
Arizona. Shoot, I got land in Arizona. What's wrong with me?
Mhm.
Yeah, I used to be the secretary, but then I needed to actually do more boots on the ground kind of stuff. So I've been doing more like bite-sized action steps.
Yeah.
People locally.
Well, I think that we have probably gone enough for you to see that this is the ultimate herbal database. That's why I call it that. So I'm gonna stop.
And I would love to see people subscribe to your database, Dakota.
Yes.
So that's a good title for this show, the ultimate herbal database.
Because it is the ultimate.
Mhm.
That sounds so innocuous. That should be just like, you know, a video about petting a puppy, you know. But you know, they get so upset about things these days. You know, it's just hard to know what's going to upset them.
I know. Well, anyway, fortunately, alternatives are popping up and people are moving there to the alternatives. And as far as funding goes, that's a whole other story that also has to be part of that equation.
Yeah, we just need more audience on the other platforms. We need a big platform out there that get a lot of people go to. That's what's needed.
Yeah.
There's just so many of them though. They're all have problems getting traction because they're all so small. But we'll see how that's probably changing time. Something else will evolve, and these other platforms are going to have to adjust at some point.
Well, I have found some that are coming down the pipeline that are very exciting, but they're not here yet. So anyway, I'll let you know when there are.
Okay.
So, you know, I hope that this is the beginning of more visits together. It's been really fun.
Wow. Yeah.
I appreciate. Oh, go ahead. I appreciate that you've been able to show everyone. And Dakota, I'd like to bring you on an additional show with another friend of mine too. So if you're open to that, I'll email you so that way we can get this even more visibility.
Well, thank you, Gail, for helping to promote this. That's what it's all about, is when there's something good that we can use, we need to tell everybody about it.
This is
absolutely.
You have put together here an awesome database. So you call this the ultimate herbal database.
Yeah. And one of the things that I do in this is I share the work of other people who are doing awesome things. Like,
got a lot of that.
Yeah. So it's not just me. It's like, because I vet everything, you know, that's why it takes so long. But when I find something great, like your vermiculture video series, I put that in there. I put Gail's book in there. I put Dr. Cotrell's stuff in there so that you guys get exposure for good reason and you get discovered. And, you know, alongside, of course, all the PubMed articles and everything that support this work. But all of the great minds, going all the way back to Galen and the Egyptians are all in there. Like I've got ancient Egyptian medicine in there, and I've got actual books. I've got books, texts in there from the ancient writers. So all of this wisdom has to be collected together in one place, and folks need to be able to satisfy their curiosity and use it for their betterment and their families, the whole 9 yards.
Fantastic. This is awesome. So everybody, I'm going to put links to this database, to Dakota's YouTube channel, to Gail's got a couple of YouTube channels, and just a lot of resources.
Yeah, I have 2 of them. There's Rainbow Food Rocks, which has the recipes and the essential oils and sometimes a few extras. And then there is the Rainbow Healing and Wellness, which is where I have everything else.
So yeah, if you follow Gail's recipe book, you'll smile just like her.
Yeah. And not only that, but heal your family at the same time, which is a win-win.
That's why she did it. That's why she did it.
That's the whole reason, as because of my children and then having to help heal myself. So
Yeah.
And I have other friends who
and read the story.
Great
Yeah,
success. So medicines, you know, the stuff that comes out of the AMA is not the final answer to everything from what I can see.
Mm-mm.
In fact, you know, if I'd have stayed on that statin stuff, I'd have been in severe trouble. I probably would be crippled today.
Yeah.
I was losing strength real fast. I couldn't, you know, I was a guy that used to run 12 miles every other day. And suddenly,
wow.
you know, just 3 or 4 years after that, I was almost couldn't walk. And I had to throw that stuff away. So, and I recovered immediately.
Wow.
So, it's amazing.
Testimonies are valuable.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks. So let's hang on, guys, a little bit after I want to stop the recorded session. We can chat for a few minutes.
Okay.
So everyone, I really appreciate everyone for watching this. Please share this because this video has got resource that's mind-blowing. This ultimate herbal database is beyond anything I've ever seen. It is just, it blows my socks off. It is awesome. Please share this, share it widely. We got to get this out so that people can find this and explore it. You could spend a lifetime, I think, just going through all these links and reading all these articles. Holy guacamole! It is beyond awesome, guys. And I like guacamole, by the way. So
Yeah.
I can't grow avocados here unless you grow them in a greenhouse. But I love. Hey, avocados are green grapes.
I have avocados waiting for me in my my like Buddha bowl.
You're in southern Arizona. Maybe you can grow them there where you're at, Gail. I don't think my neighborhood in Arizona.
Might have an avocado plant growing right now. I think that's what it is. I'll have to go find it in the midst of everything because I had tried planting some avocado seeds and I think I got one. I think
Nice.
So we'll see, because I have all the citrus trees going around and I have my little banana babies I got to plant.
When I find my way down to Phoenix again, I'm going to Gail's and I'm going to shoot a video from her garden.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Good.
Yeah, we'll do a video on Gail's garden. That's enough reason to subscribe. Anyway, all right, everyone, thank y'all for watching, and there'll be more to come in the future, and I'm sure we'll have Dakota back, and I know Gail will be back a bunch on the channel. So I've really enjoyed it, Dakota. You do awesome work. I am in total awe with what you've developed. Your life story is awesome. I mean, you know, you could be the subject of so many books and videos, and holy smoke. All right, everyone. So again, thank y'all for watching. Bye-bye.